Okay, we are back and we're going to begin case 24. Bewitched, Bothered, Bewildered. Matthew, that was a close brush with them all. I can't believe he followed us back in time. Yeah, clearly the Ptolemy's lackey knows about our plan to undo the changes he and Nebbit, or Princess Nefertiti, made to the timeline. By beating him at the auction for the trade routes. Luckily, we've managed to put some distance between us and him. There's no way he's coming after us now. And it's all thanks to Mary Reed that we managed to escape. If she hadn't intervened, we'd probably be dead. But now that we've escaped thanks to our pirate friends, we must turn our focus back to the auction of the shipping routes. The auction isn't for another few days, but first we must remove the so-called curse from that gold we need to win it. Don't forget about removing the curse from me too. I never would have laid hands on that treasure if I knew I'd end up covered in scales. Theo swears it's just some sort of chemical reaction from the gold having been buried for so many years. But the itching is becoming unbearable. That calamine powder I've been using helps to calm it down, but only a little. I have good news on that front. I know someone who can rid you and the treasure of the curse. I can introduce you to a voodoo priestess who lives on Skull Island. Nobody knows curses like she does. I've ordered the crew to set course for the island. We'll be there by nightfall. Here we are, Privateer Matthew. This is where the voodoo priestess lives with her apprentice. I'm suddenly nervous. I mean, what if she can't cure me and I'm stuck like this? Don't be so lily-livered, woman. Now the priestess isn't keen on strangers, so let me do the talk. Who goes there? It is I, Captain Mary Reed. We seek the priestess's assistance. I'm afraid the priestess cannot be disturbed. She has entered a holy trance from which she shall not awaken for another 3 days. Any attempt to do so would incur the wrath of evil spirits. Blast! 3 days? I can't spend another 3 days like this. You heard the man. Trying to wake the priestess would be terrible bad luck. We've got no choice. We must return to the ship and wait for the priestess to awake from her trance. Matthew, these past few days have been the longest of my life. I barely remember what I looked like without scales. Well, there's only 1 day left until the priestess wakes up. Hopefully she'll have you back to normal in no time. Privateer Matthew, you need to come quick. What is it? It's the priestess's apprentice. He's been murdered. What? This won't help us. This won't help put us in the priestess's good books. Zara, you stay put. Matthew and I will deal with this. Let's investigate the bay. Matthew, that's definitely the priestess's apprentice, Agwe. He's been bashed over the head. And he's missing the necklace he was wearing the other day. You're right. But who would have killed him? Someone from Mary Reed's ship or someone from the island? Either way, if we want the priestess's help once she awakens, we'd be wise to find his murderer. Let's examine the clues. Well spotted. That makeshift stall definitely wasn't there when we arrived. Whoever owns it can't be far. Maybe putting that sign back together will lead us to them. And since Mary discovered the body, we need to talk to her too. Let's do this. And I need to get some stars, so sit tight, everybody. Okay. Okay, now let's get to this here. Captain Reed, can you tell us the circumstances in which you found the body? I was stretching my legs on the beach when I saw something on the edge of the water. I went to take a closer look and realized it was Agwe, the priestess's apprentice. I hoped we'd appease the spirits by leaving the priestess undisturbed while she completed her trance. But if someone on my ship is responsible for this heinous crime, it'll bring bad luck on us all. I implore you, do what you must to solve this murder, but do not awaken the priestess. Fine, but we need to learn more about Agwe. Let's take a look around the swamp by his and the priestess's hut, Matthew. Excuse me. I've only got 7 cases to go here. First star this time. We might not be able to investigate the priestess's hut while she's in her trance, Matthew, but we know the victim must have passed through the swamp on his way to the beach. And that necklace is the one he was wearing when we saw him alive. You're right. Judging by the blood on it, the killer must have dropped it here after the murder. That yellow substance might give us a lead, if we can collect a sample. And that matchbox with the playing cards inside has Agwe's name written on it. Can you recover the rest of the writing? Of course I can. And another moment, folks, while I get a few more stars. Okay. So someone was keeping score on this box of playing cards, Matthew, and whoever they are, they were playing with Agwe. Judging by that doodle, this handwriting belongs to someone on Mary Reed's pirate ship, Matthew. Let's get a writing sample from everyone to see if we can find a match. Matthew, this handwriting belongs to Jorge de la Cruz, that pirate we met whilst investigating the murder of that naval officer. Jorge's part of Mary Reed's crew, and judging by this, he knew our victim. Let's see what Jorge can tell us about Agüe, Matthew. Mr. De La Cruz, we understand you were acquainted with the priestess's apprentice. We're investigating his murder. Yes, I heard about his death. He was a nice kid. I can't imagine why someone would murder him. I met him shortly after we docked. He jumped at the chance when I asked if he wanted to play cards. We got talking and he told me that life on the island was pretty lonely, so he was glad of the company. We met up again the next day to play a few more games, and we were due a rematch this evening, but he didn't turn up. And now I know why. Such a tragic waste of life. Matthew, this stall which popped up this morning is clearly a trading point, and it's owned by somebody called Derek. With any luck, this Derek might have seen something. Let's question him. Derek Trollope. What can I do for you, ladies and gentlemen? How's about this fine teapot? I'll swap it for half a crown. No, thank you. We wanted to ask you about the priestess's apprentice. Your stall appeared around the same time he was killed. Did you see anything? You mean Agüe? He's dead? The boy were like a son to me. The priestess took him in when he were no bigger than a kitten. So I seen him grow up over the years. As for me, Stall, I just returned from stocking up on another island when I saw your ship in the bay. And since there ain't nobody but me, Agüe and the priestess on the island, all me business comes from passing ships, so I set me stall up in a jiffy. I'm afraid I didn't see nothing though. Maybe if I had, I could have stopped it. Matthew, let's get that substance from the victim's necklace to Theo. And I'll see you guys when these two are finished. This is 3 hours. I'll see y'all soon. Okay, we have returned, and let's get the results of the yellow liquid first, from Theo. Matthew, have you made any progress? Zara's worked herself up into a terrible state. She's scared the priestess won't cure her if you don't find whoever killed her apprentice. It's early days, but you can help by telling us what you've got on that yellow substance from the victim's necklace. Well, the substance was an oil made from the leaves of the Simbapogan plant. otherwise known as lemongrass. This oil is known as citronella, and it's primarily used for repelling mosquitoes. Janice confirmed that there were none on your victim's body, so it's definitely your killer who left the citronella on the necklace. So our killer used citronella oil. Matthew won't let them slip out of their grasp. And now the autopsy from Janice. Janice Rivers. Matthew, I used to dream of spending my retirement sailing around the Caribbean, but now I give anything to go back home. Let's just hope that after we've removed the curse from Zara and the treasure, we can win that auction and return to the original timeline. Indeed. Now I suppose you want to hear about the body. It presented a number of wounds, but there was one which preceded the murder, a small cut on his cheek. I found traces of a plantain poultice he'd used on it to reduce the swelling. And the shape of the cut suggests an altercation. So Agwe was involved in a fight prior to the murder, but what about how he died? The absence of water in his lungs confirms that he was dead from his head injuries before he even hit the water. What's more, the glass shards I found embedded in his skull suggest he was struck with a bottle of some kind. And those glass shards had traces of hardtack on them, a cheap long-lasting cracker otherwise known as ship's biscuit. For the hardtack to have ended up on the bottle, it must have come from your killer. Our killer eats hardtack, do they? They'll take it hard when Matthew arrests them. Matthew, thanks to Mary Reed swooping in and rescuing us on her ship, we've managed to lose Amon for the time being. Mary has brought us to Skull Island so that the voodoo priestess who resides here can rid the treasure and Zara of its so-called curse. The only trouble is, we found the voodoo priestess's apprentice bashed over the head not far from our ship. But who had motive to kill him? We met local stallholder Derek Trollope, who claimed Agwe was like a son to him. And we also learned that someone from our ship, Jorge de la Cruz, played cards with the victim in the days before his death. Whoever did it, we need to find them before the priestess wakes up from her trance. Jemimiah Mabeo. Privateer Matthew, what's this I hear about my apprentice being murdered? Priestess Mabeo, you're awake. I want answers, now. And you'll get them when we come back. So don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back now. Let's start chapter 2 of Bewitched, Bothered, Bewildered. Jemimiah Mabeo must be a descendant of Erica Mabeo. Of course, Priestess Mabeo, we'd be happy to talk to you. Priestess, we're glad you're awake. Not only do we need to ask you about Agwe, we also need your help removing a curse. Ha! My apprentice is murdered 2 days after you show up and you expect me to help you? Now Agwe is gone. There's nobody to continue my family's centuries-old legacy by becoming the island's voodoo priest once I die. This is the most terrible omen. Not only did I foresee grave developments during my trance, but I also sensed a malevolent presence in this hut Agwe and I shared. If there's any chance that presence might have been Agwe's killer, we need to search your hut. Fine, but don't even think about asking for my help until you've gotten to the bottom of this. Understood. Matthew, let's take a look around this hut. we go. And I got the first star this time. And a little extra help. Man, that priestess gives me the heebie-jeebies, Matthew. But we need to get on her good side so that she'll help remove the curse from Zara and that treasure. The priestess says she sent somebody in here while she was in her trance. Right. Whoever was here might have knocked over that plant. Can you get a sample of that substance on the pot? And if you think that gift box might be a lead, let's get it unlocked. Got it. Matthew, let's hope putting that powder from the plant pot under the microscope will shed some light on our mystery intruder. Something tells me it might be a woman. Folks. Calamine powder. Matthew, this substance you collected from the plant pot in the priestess's hut is calamine powder. Why does that sound familiar? Right, calamine powder is what Zara has been using to stop her scales from itching. But surely Zara wouldn't have broken into the priestess's hut, Matthew. You're right, there's only one way to find out. Let's speak to the woman herself. Oh no. We're gonna have to question somebody on our own team. What is it, Matthew? I heard you spoke with the priestess. Will she help me? At the moment, she's too angry about Agwe's death, but she might change her mind if we can solve his murder. I guess that's all we can hope for. What leads have you got? Funny you should ask, since we found traces of your calamine powder in the hut they shared. I can explain. See, I'm sick of eating nothing but hardtack and having to slather myself in citronella so the mosquitoes don't eat me alive. So I decided to go wake the priestess from her trance and demand that she cure me and the treasure at once. I can't imagine Agwe would have appreciated that. Did he try to stop you? Agwe wasn't there, and seeing the priestess in her trance was so freaky that I decided to get out of there at once. I hope you're telling the truth, Zara. In the meantime, you better stay on the ship. Moment, folks. Okay. Let's get this thing open. 8, 3, 3, 8. Okay, that's 1. Okay, 9, 8, 8, 3, 3. See, 4, 3, 8, 9, 8. Got it. What is that? Matthew, that gift box contains a slice of fruit cake, and it has the victim's name on it. Whoever gave this cake to Agwe clearly liked him a lot. Cake isn't easy to come by in these parts. Perhaps Theo will be able to tell us who gifted the cake to Agwe. Let's send it to him. Let's just hope he doesn't eat it. And I'll see you guys when this is done. Alright. Welcome everyone. Let's get back and get the results of the fruit cake. It's been pretty hot and muggy outside again. Matthew, what with the whole Zara situation? It was all I could do not to take a bite of this cake to cheer me up. But it's a good thing I didn't, since it was laced with castor oil, a common laxative at this time. What? Somebody gave Agwe a cake laced with laxatives? Yep, and I know who. Jorge de la Cruz. I found some of his hair on the cake. Jorge said he and the victim had struck up a friendship when we spoke to him earlier, but he didn't mention any kind of dispute. Let's question him again. Let's see what he has to say. Mr. De La Cruz, can you explain why you gave Agwe cake laced with laxatives? How did you know there was a laxative in it? There was laxative in it. Look, everything I told you earlier was true. I enjoy spending time with Agwe, but he started getting too needy, acting like he was my new best friend or something. He wanted us to spend every waking minute together. Even the other pirates noticed. They started teasing me, asking me if I even had him reapply my citronella for me. So I decided to take him out of action for a few days by giving him that cake. It broke my heart to waste perfectly good cake. I've been saving it as a treat for when I got sick of hardtack. But I promised that I didn't hurt Agwe. I know better than to displease the voodoo spirits like that. You'll have bigger problems than evil spirits if we discover you're lying, Mr. De La Cruz. And you're right, Matthew. We know the killer passed through the swamp, so let's take another look there. Matthew, we urgently need to get to the bottom of this murder if we're to convince the priestess to cure Zara, or who knows what she might do out of desperation. It's strange that this money pouch was left lying around. Can you recover the note attached to it? And if you think there might be something hidden among those reeds, I won't stop you from looking. Alright, let's get the money pouch out of the way. Agwe, I took back what you owed me. Derek. The note on that money pouch reads, Agwe, I took back what you owed me. And it's signed by Derek, the stall holder. So Agwe owed Derek money? He conveniently failed to mention that earlier. Let's question Derek again. looking to buy something this time, Privateer Matthew. Business is so slow, I'm living off nothing but hardtack. That's strange, since we know you took back money that Agwe allegedly owed you. Nothing gets past you, does it, Privateer Matthew? I might have had a soft spot for the boy, but I couldn't risk him putting me out of business. Agwe made me a bunch of protective talismans to sell, see? They were a right hit with the pirates. But then I started getting complaints. Pirates saying the talismans were no good. Nobody wants an angry pirate on their tail. I only just managed to slip out of one's grasp because I were oiled up with citronella. So let me guess, Agwe refused to admit the talismans were fake, so you lost your temper and killed him, is that it? Of course not, I just stole back the money I gave him for the talismans. Now I'll be able to reimburse any pirates who come knocking. Had to take care of one thing real quick. Got it. Oh, it's a voodoo doll. Is that a voodoo doll you found among those reeds, Matthew? Oh, you're right. That doll looks a lot like our victim. But who could have made this doll? The priestess is an obvious culprit, but we can't just go and accuse her. We need to get on her good side. Good thinking. Let's send the voodoo doll to Orlando before we jump to any conclusions. $12, and I'll see you guys when this is over. And we've returned. Let's get the results of the voodoo doll. Orlando, can you tell us if that voodoo doll of our victim came from the priestess? Not necessarily, no. Since the design of the doll is not overly intricate, it could have been made by a total amateur or the priestess if she was in a hurry. However, I can tell you that the doll was made by your killer. How can you be sure? Well, a voodoo doll always contains something from the person they represent, and this one contains some of the victim's bloody hair. What's more, the doll must have been made after the murder because the clay is still fresh. So, the killer walked away with a handful of the victim's bloody hair and made a doll of him after committing the murder? Precisely. And then they buried the doll among those reeds in a symbolic bid to ensure Agwe's soul had safe passage to the afterworld. Your killer clearly feels remorse, Matthew. And not only that, they're obviously superstitious. So our killer is superstitious. Their luck is about to run out with us on their tail. And you're right, Matthew, the priestess is clearly a believer. And pirates are notoriously superstitious. So let's add Mary Reed and Jorge de la Cruz to the list too. Matthew, we came to Skull Island hoping the voodoo priestess would remove the curse from Zara and the treasure. Instead, we found her apprentice with his head bashed in, and the priestess is refusing to help us until we solve his murder. Worse still, we've learned that Zara broke into their hut while the priestess was in a trance. I hate having to treat her as a suspect, but we have no choice. And then there's Jorge, who was so sick of the victim's clinginess that he tried to put him out of action with a laxative-laced cake. We need to get to the bottom of this. There's no point, Matthew. I've made peace with it. I'm going to be a fish forever. That's the worst case scenario with Zara. I'll see you guys for chapter 3. And we've returned. Let's start chapter 3 of Bewitched, Bothered, Bewildered. We last left off with Zara conceding to being a fish forever. This was where we last left off on. Don't be silly. We just need to know how to reverse whatever chemical reaction occurred when you touched the treasure. No, I've accepted my fate. I'm going to go live in the sea. Matthew, I'll take over from here. You just focus on solving this murder and convincing the priestess to help us. Come on, Zara, let's go have a nice cup of tea, eh? Matthew, the sooner we find Agwe's killer, the sooner we can get Zara back to normal. Let's take another look around the hut Agwe shared with the priestess. That chest has our victim's name on it, Matthew. Can you crack the lock so we can see what's inside? As for that torn up paper, let's put it back together if you think it might be a clue. And if you want to look through those voodoo supplies, I won't stop you. We're getting down to the nitty and gritty. 7 cases remain, counting this one. Or after this one, I should say. Because there's 31 total. Looks like a map of some sort. Got it. Matthew, that paper has Agwe's name on it. Can you recover the faded writing? Voodoo ancestry. This appears to be a list, Matthew. It shows the names and faces of the island's voodoo practitioners from centuries ago up until the present day. Look, there's Priestess Mabeo, but someone has burned Agwe's face away. You're right, Matthew. Only one person could have done this. Priestess Mabeo. We might need to stay in the priestess's good books, but we've got no choice but to question her. Let's tread carefully. Priestess, we need to ask you about this list we found. Are you the one who burned away Agwe's face? Yes, but he deserved it. After all the centuries worth of voodoo secrets I confided in him, Agwe decided he didn't want to follow in my footsteps. I reminded him that the island has had a voodoo practitioner for centuries, and that legend has it that permanent darkness will descend if the chosen one shuns their destiny. But Agwe just laughed and said he didn't believe in any of it. So I took that parchment and held his face over a flame. I wanted to erase any trace of his betrayal. Let's just hope you didn't take it upon yourself to erase him from this world entirely. That's not what I wanted. This hat on Agwe's chest looks a lot like a pirate hat, Matthew. Oh, you're right. I know where we've seen this hat before. It belonged to Blackbeard. We know Mary Reed commandeered Blackbeard's ship after his murder. She must have taken his hat, too. But how did Agwe end up with it? We need to ask Mary. Moment, folks. Okay. Gotta take care of one thing. Sucks Mary Reed now. Captain Reed, can you tell us how Blackbeard's hat ended up in Agwe's possession? That Agwe fellow stole the darn thing. That's what happened. Just earlier I was munching on some hardtack when I saw Agwe sneak onto the ship. I wondered what he was doing, so I followed him, but then I accidentally knocked over my citronella oil. I was so busy cleaning it up that I forgot all about Agwe until I returned to my cabin and found Blackbeard's hat missing. That hat was symbolic of everything I fought for, to become the world's greatest pirate. The kid's lucky I didn't catch up with him before someone else got to him. Let's hope you're telling the truth, Captain Reed, because if you're not, Matthew will find out. Now she's in the running. Okay, what are we going to find here? Got it. A dirty bandage. Ew! Is that a dirty bandage you found among those voodoo supplies, Matthew? Why'd you pick that up? Right, Janice mentioned the victim had sustained an injury in a fight prior to the murder. If you think this bandage might tell us who we fought with, let's send it to Theo. Just don't expect me to touch it. Right. Then again, I might be in the same boat. 9 hours. I'll see you guys when this is done. Okay, we have returned. Let's get the results of the dirty bandage from Theo. Theo, what have you got for us on that bandage Matthew sent you? Was it the victim's? Yes, I checked with Janice, and it's definitely the one Agwe used to treat the bruise he got in the fight before the murder. Great. Did you find anything which might tell us who he fought with? Yes, but before I tell you, you have to promise not to get mad. Go on. I found scales on the victim's bandage. They must have come from Zara. So, Zara is the one who gave Agwe that injury? But she said he wasn't there when she broke into the hut. Matthew, I think we need some answers from Zara. Zara, you told us you didn't cross paths with Agwe when you broke into his and the priestess's hut. But we found evidence that you fought with him. Please tell us you have a good explanation. Alright, I lied. I did bump into Agwe. I explained to him that I couldn't wait any longer. I needed to wake the priestess. But he flat out refused. Said that once the priestess heard that I tried to interrupt her trance, she never cured me. I'm not proud of it, but I lost my temper and I hit him, Matthew. You hit a 17-year-old boy? I'm so ashamed. I apologized over and over again, but Agwe wouldn't listen. He said I'd mortally offended the voodoo gods and that I'd be cursed forever. We understand this has been a difficult time for you, Zara, but we can't condone assault. We just hope it didn't lead to murder. Oh boy. Matthew, when we found Agwe floating dead in the water, I never thought one of our own would be a suspect. Zara lost her temper when Agwe claimed the priestess would refuse to cure her. if he told her about the break-in. Zara admits she hit Agwe, but is there a chance she followed him later to finish off the job? We also learned that Priestess Mabea was angry with Agwe for not wanting to follow in her footsteps, but would she have killed him for it? And then there's Mary Reed, who was furious with the victim for stealing Blackbeard's hat. Could she have killed him to get it back? Matthew, we need more clues if we're to get to the bottom of this. Let's return to the scene of the crime. Okay. Am I gonna get the first star? Let's find out. Yep. Nice catch, Matthew. That bottle has blood on it. Janice said the victim was struck with a glass bottle, so this could be our murder weapon. You'll need to vacuum out some of that bloody sand to be sure. And why'd you pick up that rabbit foot? Right, we know our killer is superstitious. This rabbit foot must belong to them. Can you collect some of that grass on it? Agwe's killer won't elude us for much longer, Matthew. Let's get to work. Cognac bottle. Got it. Matthew, let's get that bloody sand you collected from the bottle to Janice. She'll know if the blood is a match for our victim. I just hope it's not Zara, because she's in the running now. Got it. We need to get that grass you collected from the killer's rabbit foot to Theo, Matthew. Quick! And I'll see you guys when these two are finished. Don't go anywhere. And we're back. Let's get the results of the bloody sand. Let's put a killer behind bars. Matthew, Zara is still inconsolable. She's scared that she's ruined any chance of the priestess curing her. All we can hope is that finding whoever killed Agwe will convince the priestess to help us. What have you got on the bloody sand Matthew collected from the bottle? Well, I can confirm that the blood is your victim's, which means the bottle is your murder weapon. But your victim's blood wasn't the only thing on that sand. I also found minute traces of a second blood type. It wasn't enough for me to establish a full DNA profile, but I can tell you one thing, your killer has O-positive blood. So our killer has O-positive blood, eh? This is a positive development in our investigation, Matthew. Alright, I guess we'll find out. One more to go. I really hope it's not Zara, although I like to think it's not. Even though Zara is possible. Theo, did that grass Matthew found on the killer's rabbit foot give you any leads? Well, you'll be surprised to hear that the grass you sent me is not actually grass at all. It was cotton fibers which have been dyed green. In other words, they come from green clothes. And since your victim wasn't wearing green, they must have come from your killer. It's not. Our killer's wearing green, are they? They'll be green about the gills once they realize Matthew is onto them. Matthew collected all the evidence to arrest Agwe's killer. Let's do this. Isn't Mary Reed. It isn't Derek Trollope. No. It definitely isn't Zara. So I was right. Unfortunately, it was Jorge de la Cruz. What a shame. Mr. De La Cruz, you're under arrest for the murder of Agwe. What do you have to say for yourself? Me? Murder Agwe? I wanted him to give me some space, but I didn't kill him. Don't lie to us. We know that you struck Agwe on the head with your cognac bottle, killing him before he even hit the water. Then you ran away, dropping your lucky rabbit foot in your haste to flee the crime scene. But you felt remorse for your actions, didn't you? That's why you buried that voodoo doll of the victim among those reeds, to wish his soul safe passage. You must have been gifted with a vision from the voodoo gods to see things so clearly. I confess, I killed Agwe, but I only did it to protect myself. What do you mean? I didn't lace that cake with laxatives because I wanted him to leave me alone. I did it because I was scared of what would happen if we spent more time together. I started having feelings for Agwe. I tried to ignore them, but it was impossible with him following me around. What I didn't realize was that Agwe felt the same way until he tried to kiss me on the beach. But there's no tolerance for such unnatural acts among pirates, Privateer Matthew. If anyone had found out, they'd have killed the pair of us. So your solution was to beat a 17-year-old to death with a bottle? Violence is all I've ever known, but I didn't mean to kill him, just to scare him off. I didn't realize I'd hit him so hard. Be that as it may, I'm afraid we have no other option but to place you under arrest and inform your captain of your crimes. Captain Reed, we're pleased to report that we found Agwe's killer. Jorge, it was you who killed Agwe? How dare you bring the wrath of the gods upon my ship by committing such a crime? It was a mistake, Captain. I was scared of what had happened if people learned the truth about me and Agwe. Please don't make me walk the plank. I'm not one for judging people's personal lives, Jorge. All that mattered to me was that you were a good crewman. But I can't allow you back on my ship. You'll stay on this island for the voodoo gods to punish you as they see fit. Matthew, it's heartbreaking to think that a 17-year-old lost his life all because Jorge de la Cruz feared any romance between them would get them killed. But now that Captain Reed has dealt with him, it's time to turn our attention back to why we originally came here. We need to convince Priestess Mabeo to remove that so-called curse from Zara and the treasure. And we need to do it fast, because we've got to get to Tortuga in time to win the auction, which will allow us to put history right. Let's get down to work, Matthew. I'll see you guys for Sink or Swim 4-5. Okay, we've come back. Let's go to Sink or Swim 4-5. Matthew, I've heard you solved the murder of that poor boy. How sad that a young life was cut short because of a forbidden romance. Clearly, the age of sail was not a time for the faint-hearted. Every day here is filled with danger and adventure. Between us, Matthew, I'm rather thrilled to be a part of this. The sun, sea, and swashbuckling is inspiring me to write again. I'm happy to hear someone is enjoying all this. I guess it's easy when you're not blue and covered in fish scales. I'm sorry, Zara. I know you're desperate to speak to Priestess Mabeo and find a cure for your condition. But I was wondering if you could spare Matthew to come with me to see Captain Reed. I would dearly like to interview her about her life on the high seas for my book. Matthew, if you must take Penelope to marry Reed, please be quick. But then we really must see Priestess Mabeo about lifting this stupid curse. Ahoy, Privateer Matthew. It's a crying shame that it turned out to be my crewmen who done in that boy. A sad story indeed, but we aren't here for Jorge. If you can spare a minute, Captain Mary, it is your wisdom that I seek. My wisdom? Miss Penelope, you must have 1,000 books in your quarters. You're a learned lady. All I know is sword fights, swashbuckling, and drinking rum. But that's exactly what I want to hear about. Tell me, what does it take to be a pirate, to be as fierce and brave as you? Well, the most important thing is to never worry what the future might bring. Just hold your course no matter if the wind blows or the waves are high. And the best way to learn that is to pick a fight with someone. Pick a fight? You mean provoke someone for no good reason? Forget reason. Just let yourself get carried away. You might take a few punches, but it will be exhilarating. You'll be a new person after that, I promise. Matthew, do you think I should take Mary's advice and pick a fight with someone? Hey, I know. I'm going to take this jade statuette from the stall and smash it to pieces. Mary said not to worry about the consequences. Smash. Oh boy. Hey, that wasn't too bad. It actually feels quite... Hey, what the heck are you doing? Oh no. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, sir. Was that statue yours? It were one of my most valuable wares, and you smashed it for no reason. I will make it up to you, I promise. I'll gather all the pieces and fix them up. You'll never know it was broken. You better do as you say, lady. Oh dear, Matthew, I'm shaking. I think Mary was right. This is exhilarating. Maybe too exhilarating for me. I don't think I like broken things and angry people. You're right. We better pick up the statue pieces from the floor before Derek comes back. Matthew, thank you for finding the pieces of the broken statue. Do you think you can help me restore it too? Will do. We are. Matthew, now that you've restored the Derek statuette, I'd like to explain myself to him. Will you accompany me? Privateer Matthew, thanks for restoring my statuette. I must admit it looks as good as new. Derek, I apologize again for breaking it. I only did it because I wanted to know what it felt like to be fearless, like a pirate. You see, I'm writing a book about pirates, so I must learn everything about them. You wanted to know about pirates, Miss Penelope? Why didn't you say so? Pirates from the four corners of the world come to me, Stall, and tell me all about their adventures. Why don't you stay a while and I'll tell you all my best stories, like when Blackbeard fought a legendary battle against a Portuguese buccaneer who... Really? I'd like to hear more. Matthew, I'll meet you back on the ship, alright? Before you go, take this as a memento of your time on the island, Privateer Matthew. That's cool. Matthew, you found my apprentice's killer. You've proven yourself worthy. What is it that you require? Priestess, I touched one of the coins in Rackham's fabled lost treasure and, well, you can see for yourself. By the devil's toadstool, you poor child! Let me take a closer look. I see. You say touching them coins did this to you. I'm not surprised, for Rackham's treasure was cursed by the dark spirits of Damballa. But there's a cure, right? Please tell me I don't have to live out the rest of my life looking like this. Fear not, dear. All you need is the blue flowers of the midnight magnolia. Luckily for you, they grow aplenty in the swamp. You just need to fetch a handful. And Privateer Matthew for allowing Agwe's spirit to move to the afterworld in peace and ridding my island of bad mojo, take this payment as well. Got it. Matthew, this must be the Midnight Magnolia Priestess Mabeo told us to find. She said we needed the blue flowers, so let's collect some. There's one. There's 8. Matthew, I really hope these blue flowers are what Priestess Mabeo needs to lift the curse. Better send them to Theo so he can check. Okay, this is 6 hours. I got a surprise a little later, but we'll do that in a little bit. So hold tight, everybody. Well, considering I start school on Monday, I might as well just go ahead and speed this up so I can get this case over and done with, so I don't have this looming over me. Theo, please tell me these flowers can turn me back into an ordinary human. You were never ordinary to me, Zara, no matter what color you are. But yes, these are indeed midnight magnolia flowers, a fascinating species. Their pollen is one of the most toxic substances I've ever seen. Toxic? You mean if this voodoo mumbo jumbo doesn't work on my skin condition, I won't just stay a fish forever? It can also kill me? Don't worry, Zara. I'll run a full toxicology test on whatever concoction Mabeo comes up with. You'll only take it if it's safe. But first, you need to see Priestess Mabeo. I've already sent the flowers to her. Good luck. Okay. Priestess Mabeo, are you completely sure that these blue flowers will help me? Are you doubting me, child? If you don't want me to lift the curse, just say it. No, of course I want to be cured. It's just that our friend thinks these flowers are toxic and they are very powerful indeed, but only a powerful antidote stands a chance against the curse of Damballa. Anyway, I prepared a powder by mixing the midnight magnolia's pollen with ground snakeskin and some mangrove oil. Now the mixture needs to dry. You will find the mixture on a cutting board outside on the deck. Dissolve it in the water and drink it. You'll be as beautiful as ever and have something to eat too to regain your strength. Want to see Zara cured? But there's another one. I'm willing to wait this one out. Okay, I got that. Matthew, that cutting board must be the one Mabeo mentioned, which means that substance must be the cure. Let's vacuum it up. Matthew, Theo said he'd analyze Mabeo's powder before letting me drink it to make sure it's safe. Let's send it to him. Six hours also. I'm going to let this run its course. I'll see you when this is done. Okay, folks, we have come back. Let's get the results of the blue powder now. Matthew, I've tested the powder Mabeo made to cure Zara, and the results are amazing. So you think it will cure me? It will, and I can even tell you how. You see, most ancient curses have a scientific explanation, and so does that of Rackham's treasure and your mysterious fishiness. What happened is that the treasure was buried in an airtight box for centuries. until it was suddenly exposed to salty sea air when we dug it up. The result was an instant chemical reaction similar to oxidation, forming a toxic residue on the gold's surface. Unfortunately, this toxin causes a form of skin dystrophy, scales, and discoloration. In other words, the curse was nothing more than a natural reaction triggered by opening the treasure chest. Anyone touching the gold coins would have suffered the same fate. That's fascinating, but what about Mabeo's concoction? Is it going to reverse the reaction? Yes, the priestess's concoction can neutralize this toxic film. I've already tried it on the coins, and look, they're safe to touch now. The powder is soluble in water, so the easiest way to take it is to drink it. Here, Zara. Matthew, it worked! Oh man, I can't tell you how good it feels to be back to normal. Now I'm ready to face everyone again. Matthew, I've spent a very inspiring afternoon talking to Derek about pirates. I have enough material for several chapters of my new book. And I finally feel like a human again, not a sea creature. Thanks for helping me get rid of that curse, Matthew. This also means our gold coins are now safe to touch. We can use the money to place a bid at the Tortuga auction. So much needed good news. That gold is our best shot at buying the ports and plantations the French king is selling. Before Amon can snag them for the Egyptian trading company, helping the Ptolemies to power and changing history as we know it. With any luck, winning that auction will fix the timeline and we'll finally be able to go back to our version of 2029. The auction is only a few days away, so we'd better set sail, me hearties. Weigh anchor and hoist the mizzen. We're off to Tortuga. So as I start another semester of school tomorrow, even though we'll definitely be way past that by the time I post this, I'm going to look forward to Thursday. Oh boy. This will be case 25. I've only got 6 cases left after this one. It is on August 29th, which is a Thursday. Also want to say that this case being taken place on August 25th, it's the same birthday as my two of my late grandparents who are gone. One died a couple years ago on Easter, after Easter rather. The other died almost a year ago. But they were both going downhill long before that. I've only got 31 cases in this district, or in this series. Travel through time, 31 cases seems appropriate. Hopefully we'll get to go back to Pacific Bay and see the whole team again. But then again, I kind of doubt that's going to happen since Amy's now the leader of time. So I'll see you guys on August 29th. I'll see y'all soon.